Hi there. Today we're going to learn how to turn a website into an API. This example comes from a recent user request who wanted to pull data from the F1, the Formula One racers into his application. This is a personal application that he uses to track the races, and he wanted up-to-date information. Let's see how we can do that with Magic Loops. We'll start by going to find the source of our data. We'll open a new tab, and we'll say F1 Grand Prix. Singapore. So Google has a nice overview here. But let's go straight to the source. This particular user wanted driver standings. So we can go to this page and see all of the driver standings. Now, this is fantastic if all you want to do is see the driver standings. But maybe you want to see the standings over time, or you want to pull this information into your application. So how can we do that with Magic Loops? Well, what we'll do is we'll start by copying the URL here, and then we'll go back to Magic Loops, and we will craft a prompt for our loop creator. So we'll say, please create an API that scrapes the Formula One driver standings, and I'll paste in the URL here, parses the data with an LLM, and returns a response with JSON. We'll go ahead and click enter, and we'll see our outline. So here we can see that we're doing the F1 standings, we're doing an API call, we're scraping it, we're doing kind of an LLM parse of the data, and then we're doing an API response. Now, this is neat, and we'll start here, but I'm already getting some ideas of how we could make this more advanced. We could go in and pull out the points or see the average number of points across the players. We could also look at between the time that the loop was run and the last time it was ran, what changed, like who went up or down in positions. There's all sorts of different things that we could do here to kind of make the loop more interesting. But we'll start by just turning this page into an API, which is what this outline shows. Looks good to me. So now I don't have to do anything. The Magic Loop creator will go through and try and build our request. Now, if it gets stuck, we can help it. We can talk to it and tell it what's wrong. But it looks like for this case, it's going to work pretty well for us. So right now we're in what's known as an LLM block, where we are calling GPT-4o Mini from OpenAI. And as you can see here, we're starting to pull out the standings, position 1, and we'll go here and we'll look at the data just so we can get a double check for ourselves. We've got Verstappen as the number 1 position with 331 points. He's with Red Bull Racing, of course. Norris with Mercedes, 279. Leclerc with Ferrari, 245. Leclerc. I'm American, so my pronunciations are always terrible. Okay, here we go. We've got this streaming through. It looks like we're having. It looks like GPT-4 Mini is running pretty slow for us. I'm really curious why this is happening. Let's go and do a quick check of the Chat GPT status, or really, we want to see OpenAI's API status. The nice thing about Magic Loops is you can use different LLMs. It looks like there's nothing wrong with the LLM, but we're getting a pretty slow response. Let's just rerun this block and see if it's any faster. There we go. That's what we expect. That looks like a fluke with the API system. That's fine. We can just rerun it. Cool. So now we have our loop is ready. Let's activate it. We can test it out using TypeScript or Python, or we can just call the URL from our browser. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So we'll call it here. And then we should see the run in progress. So we didn't pass anything in. We just called the loop. Now it's scraping the data, pulling it out, and returning us the response. And we can go ahead and see that response here. So we've got our standings. Position number 1 is Max Verstappen with 331 points. 331 points. That matches here. We've got Lando Norris with 279 points. What's interesting here is that we don't actually have their first names here. The LLM just seems to know, or maybe it's in the data. It's in the URLs here. So that's cool. The LLM is extracting information that's not even shown on the page. I like that. And then we can go through and see these. So that's a simple way of how you can pull this data, turn any website into an API. Now, for a little bonus, I'm curious what the kind of average and median points are for these drivers. So let's go in and deactivate our loop. And we could go in and kind of ask the loop creator to do this for us. But I want to demonstrate how you can tweak things yourself without needing to write any code, but adding some information or adding some results to tweak things kind of manually. So we have our standings here, and this is an LLM block that has put out all of this information from the website. I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a code block now, and I'm going to ask the code block, please calculate and return the average, min, max, and median points for the drivers. Return the results as markdown. So now we're going to click generate or regenerate here, and it will go through and it will write some code for us. I don't have to do anything, and it will calculate the average points, the minimum points, the maximum points, etc. Let's go back and correct this. I could say fix here and say, please round the points to 2 decimal places, round the calculations. And it will go through and it will rewrite the code. And there we go. Now we've got 2 decimal places. So we can see the average points is 88. The median is 23. And if we want to, we could take this information and send it to ourselves in an email. I could say, send an email with the results. I'll click regenerate. And this will go through and generate an email for me. And then the API response will still return. So I can call the API, it can send an email to me with some summary of the data, and then just return the data. You can kind of mix and match functionality as you see fit. I don't want either of these blocks, actually. I just want this API. So I'm going to delete both of these, and I will activate this loop, and then I will also share this loop with all of you. So you can go and find this loop, the F1 Standings API, in the Discover page. So if you go here, you can go and search for the F1 Standings API, and you can try it out yourself. That's how we can turn websites into APIs using magic loops. Thank you for your time, and we're excited to see what you build.